Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in to ChannelBK. My name is Brian. We've made it to the end of Classics year. Classics reviews are coming back. Don't worry, it's just gonna be at the end of the year now. But this is the Fugees, the score. What a way to end Classics year off. The Fugees are a hip-hop and R&B group, and it consists of members Wyclef Jean, Pras, and obviously the one that probably most people know, Lauryn Hill. This album came out on February 13th, 1996, 2 years after their debut, Blended in Reality, which was met with not such great acclaim. It wasn't really received that well. And to follow this album up, the group requested money to then put into what they were gonna do for the score, which basically just meant they were gonna build a whole new studio in Wyclef's basement. And then, you know, some stuff here and there happened, and then this album came out, which for me, going into it, when I first was looking into the Fugees and everything about them, I knew them all solo-wise. Mainly not Pras, but like Wyclef Jean and Lauryn Hill. Obviously, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is like one of the most talked about albums of all time, in modern times, rather. And honestly, at this time, it was fascinating to me because, again, I didn't know so much about her. So to know that she came from a group that was short-lived and then she only put out one album, it was kind of sad, but it was exciting because it was interesting for me to hear what she was about on this record. And let me tell you, this record is awesome. It is super awesome. It's super cinematic. The flow of it is fantastic. It's braggadocious. It's conscious. There's some cool covers on it. There's some great interpolations on here. Some great sampling on here. And it's just, again, from all three members, it's fantastic. There's some cool sketches on here. There's like a fun, like, storyline. Not fun, but there's certain pieces that you can follow throughout the album as well. And again, I think it's fantastic. The intro, right intro, gives us, you know, a bit of a lead-in to the album to get us ready. I love the dark pianos on here, but then that gets followed up by How Many Mics, which is just an in-your-face track. But it also is played in a calm way. The beat is a little chill. It's spacey. I love the boo-boo-doo-doo in the background. It's hypnotizing, and the bass line's great, and the hook is just, how many mics do we rip on the daily? Like, it has such a great flow, and I think all of them just perform so well on it. Ready or Not, which obviously covers Ready or Not, Here I Come by the Delphonics on the hook, is obviously one of the most well-known songs on the album, and it's fantastic. Again, this album, I'm not going to say it too much because my sentiment on most of these songs is they're cinematic, and they're really well-rounded, and there's a lot of great sounds going on here, and again, it just is a very tightly put together track. The snare on here is so tight and just so hard-hitting. I love when Lauryn first comes in to her verse on here too. The flow and the rhyme pattern is great, and I love when she comes in when Pras starts rapping too, where she's like kind of jumping on with him, and they're rapping together, and she's like adding on stuff. It's fantastic. Zealots is a more slower paced song on the album. It samples the flamingos in the dun 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 dun. It's great. And Lauryn's hook on here is really great. I will say Wyclef was someone that I didn't really anticipate as a rapper on here, because I've seen him before and I've heard some things of his, but I was not ready for him on this album because he is fantastic. I was not ready for him to be so clever, witty, in your face. The way he like pronounces words and his multitudes of voices, and he's fantastic. I just want to get that out of the way now so that I have that. The Beast is a song that over time I grew to really like. It has this very watery, nasty sound. The song is about the police and, you know, all, you know, around town, the beast is loose, and that's part of the hook. And the song is conceptually about, I think Lauryn has some great wordplay with the politrictions. I thought that was really clever. Wyclef comes in hard-hitting as well. It's murky and it's eerie, which the end skit, the chicken shop sketch, which is so funny, and it's so over the top, but it's just hilarious, which leads to probably one of my favorite songs on the album, Fugees La. The Tina Marie hook, the ooh la la la, and Lauren sounds gorgeous on the hook, and just the beat is hard hitting. I think Praz has some of the better, like, vocals on this song. I think it's just great. I love the sound too. And going off the last track, the drums are very sonically like street sounding. Like it sounds like they just fucking went and got garbage cans off the side of the road and just were boom, boom, boom. It's great. Francisco Tarrega is the highlight of the next song, which is Family Business, which is a composition that he did. Obviously, I said his name super white and American, but it's played by John Williams. It's that which the sonics of it sound a lot like Cowboys, which is later on the album, kind of that westerny, kind of moody feel. But this song is very spooky. The and the background I think is really great. And this leads into Killing Me Softly, the famous cover that they did, is great. It's beautiful. It fits into this album with the sonics and the way it's well put together, well produced. The score is probably my second favorite song on the album. I just love how straightforward it is, to the point. The beat is fantastic. I love the, we gotta settle the score. I like that part a lot. I love the fact that it keeps going back to the Ready or Not hook. I think all three of them on here sound fantastic. Diamond D is a feature on here as well. He does his thing too. This song is definitely one of the more this was one of the tracks that when I first listened to this album, this was one of the first ones that caught my attention just because of the mood change on it. The Mask, which, weirdly enough, one of my final listens listening to this album, honestly, to prepare for this, I was not in love with it, and I think part of it has to do with just the approach of the song, but the concept is brilliant. And digging into the lyrics, the whole idea of a mask is I assumed from when I was listening to it and pulling stuff away from it, I just assumed it was kind of the whole fakeness thing, people, you wear a mask, blah, 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 blah. It kind of is. The idea of them having to conceal their emotions because they need to look good for, a white, population, and, they can't act a certain way because then they get looked at a certain way, which it's sad to hear that, but to hear it from that perspective, knowing things like that and coming from where I'm from, it's a very hard-hitting track because you get that experience. And then the following song, Cowboys, which is deemed as one of the best tracks on here, which it has all the samplings of some great Western sounds on here. And I think the way they all trade off verses is really dope, which then leads into No Woman, No Cry, which again is a Wyclef Jean cover. And then we get Manifest / the outro to end the album. And I think Wyclef sets the stage great. And I think it's such a hard-hitting finale to this album. Poor Righteous Teachers has a nice sample on here as well. This album, in a way, I didn't really know what to expect, because when it came out, and when I knew who was a part of it, I was more so fascinated by, if this album was not going to hold up, but was it going to feel like an older album? Was it going to feel dated? Was there going to be part of it that felt, a certain way? And when I saw the cover, I was like, okay, well, what's going on here? And the cover, I think, fits. This album's cinematic. It has this theme. There's a lot of these boastful tracks, but then there's these more conscious tracks as well. The way they all play off of each other and the way that they all come together on the album is fantastic. And the album has such a nice flow and such a nice run that it almost just, you just sit there and you think of newer albums or newer artists that do that. Obviously, Kendrick's probably the one that comes to mind. It is just sort of that experience that you just let ride. And the sketches bring it home for me. And it's just a fantastic album. It's just great rapping, great singing. I like all of the things that they pull from other artists and the sampling and the way they interpol, all that stuff with adding stuff here and there. And the covers, I think, are fantastic as well. And it was a lot going on. But the original stuff on here, I think, is just as good. And it's a fantastic album. And I think it's a great way to end 2022. So, do you love this album as much as I do? Leave it in the comments below. You know, you like, comment, subscribe because you help me out and I appreciate it. Check out all my classic reviews from this year and other ones as well. I am so happy to be done with these. It was a fun journey, but it'll be nice to kind of take a little bit of a break now. But again, thank you so much for an awesome 2022. Be on the lookout for my favorite movies of the year. But until then, thank you so much for watching and thank you for tuning in to Channel BK. Peace out, everyone.